The rain kept falling on the train station platform, mixing with the tears on Anna's face. She sat on a cold wooden bench, her white wedding dress now dirty and torn at the edges. 3 days had passed since the worst moment of her life. 3 days since she stood at the church altar, waiting for a man who never came. The church had been packed with people. Her dress was perfect. The flowers smelled sweet. Everything was ready for her wedding day. But David never showed up. The minutes passed like hours as she stood there, feeling smaller and smaller. The whispers from the guests grew louder. Her face burned with shame as she realized the truth. He was gone. Later, she discovered he had taken all their money from their shared bank account. The money they saved together for their future home. The money for their honeymoon. Everything was gone along with him. The landlord came to their apartment the next morning, telling her she had to leave. David had stopped paying rent months ago. Anna had no family left. Her parents died when she was young, and she grew up in an orphanage. David was all she had in the world, or so she thought. Now she sat at the train station with one small bag of clothes and barely enough money for food. The other passengers looked at her strangely. A woman in a wedding dress with nowhere to go. She pulled out a crumpled newspaper from her bag. Earlier that morning, she had walked to the general store and found this paper on a table. Her eyes stopped at a small advertisement in the corner. Rancher seeks wife to care for 3 children. Must be willing to work hard. Marriage of convenience. Contact Tom Wilson, Cedar Ridge, Montana. Anna read the words again and again. A marriage of convenience. That meant no lies about love. No false promises. Just an honest arrangement where both people got what they needed. She needed a home and safety. This rancher needed help with his children. Her hands shook as she wrote a letter to the address in the newspaper. She told the truth about her situation. She explained that she was a good cook and could clean and sew. She promised to be kind to his children and work hard every day. She didn't mention love because her heart was too broken for such things. 2 weeks later, a letter came back. The handwriting was rough but clear. Tom Wilson wrote that he would send money for a train ticket to Montana. He warned her that life on a ranch was hard work. He told her about his 3 children, 9-year-old Lucy, who tried to take care of everyone, 7-year-old Ben, who was getting wild without a mother's guidance, and 2-year-old baby Rose, who needed constant care. He was honest, too. He said his wife died when Rose was born, and he couldn't manage the ranch and the children alone. Winter was coming, and he needed help desperately. He promised to treat her with respect and give her a safe home. He would marry her so she would have legal protection and a real place in the family. The letter came with $20 for the train ticket. Anna had never seen so much money at one time. She could buy food for the journey and maybe even a simple dress to replace her ruined wedding gown. As she sat on the bench waiting for the train to Montana, Anna wondered what kind of man this Tom Wilson was. Would he be kind? Would his children accept her? She was scared, but she was also hopeful for the first time in weeks. The train whistle blew in the distance. Anna stood up, smoothing down her new blue dress. She had thrown the wedding dress away and bought the simple outfit with part of the ticket money. It felt good to wear something clean and fresh. Other passengers began gathering on the platform. Families saying goodbye, businessmen with their leather cases and women traveling to visit relatives. Anna watched them all, wondering about their stories. Did any of them understand what it felt like to lose everything in one day? The train pulled into the station with a loud hiss of steam. Anna picked up her bag and walked toward the passenger car. She handed her ticket to the conductor, who smiled and helped her up the steps. As she found a seat by the window, Anna took one last look at the city that had been her home. This was her chance for a new beginning. Maybe Tom Wilson and his children would become the family she always wanted but never had. Maybe this marriage of convenience would turn into something more meaningful over time. Or maybe it would just be a way to survive, which was enough for now. The train began to move, carrying Anna away from her past and toward an uncertain future in Montana. She pressed her face to the window and watched the buildings give way to farmland. Somewhere out there, a man named Tom Wilson was waiting for her. Somewhere out there, 3 children needed a mother's care. Anna closed her eyes and tried to imagine what her new life would look like. Would she be happy? Would she feel at home? Only time would tell. But for now, she was grateful to have somewhere to go and someone who wanted her help, even if love wasn't part of the bargain. The train rolled on through the afternoon. taking her further from everything she knew and closer to everything she hoped for. Tom Wilson woke up before sunrise just like every day for the past 2 years. The house was quiet, but he could hear baby Rose starting to stir in her crib. Soon she would be crying for breakfast and the whole day would begin again. He walked to the kitchen and started the fire in the stove. The coffee pot was still dirty from yesterday. The dishes were piled up in the sink. Lucy had tried to clean them after dinner, but she was only 9 years old. Tom felt guilty every time he saw his daughter doing work that should be done by an adult. Through the window, he could see his cattle scattered across the pasture. The fence in the north field needed repairs before winter came. The barn roof had a leak that got worse every time it rained. There was always something broken on a ranch and never enough time to fix everything. Rose's crying got louder. Tom hurried to her room and picked her up from the crib. She was wet and hungry and probably lonely too. At 2 years old, she needed constant attention that Tom couldn't give her while managing the ranch work. "Good morning, little one," Tom whispered as he changed her diaper. Rose looked up at him with her mother's green eyes. Sometimes it hurt to look at her because she reminded him so much of Mary. Other times she was the only bright spot in his difficult days. Lucy appeared in the doorway, already dressed and ready to help. Her brown hair was braided neatly, and she wore the same dress she had worn for 3 days in a row. Tom made a mental note to do laundry soon, but he wasn't sure when he'd find the time. "I can feed Rose her breakfast," Lucy offered. She always offered to help with everything, even things that were too hard for a child her age. "Thank you, sweetheart, but you should eat your own breakfast first," Tom replied. He hated that Lucy felt responsible for taking care of everyone. She should be playing with dolls and learning to read better, not worrying about babies and housework. Ben came running into the room, his shirt on backwards and his hair sticking up in every direction. At 7 years old, he was full of energy and always getting into trouble. Without a mother to guide him, Ben was becoming wilder every day. "Can I ride Thunder today?" Ben asked, referring to Tom's biggest horse. The boy had no fear, which worried Tom constantly. "Thunder's too big for you," Tom said for the 100th time. "You can help me feed the chickens instead." Ben's face fell, but he didn't argue. Tom knew the boy needed more attention and guidance, but there were only so many hours in a day. The family ate breakfast together at the wooden table Tom had built when he first married Mary. Oatmeal again, because it was easy to make and filled their stomachs. Lucy tried to get Rose to eat without making a mess. Ben played with his food more than he ate it. Tom gulped down his coffee and thought about all the work waiting for him outside. After breakfast, Lucy started washing the dishes while Tom got ready for the day's ranch work. Ben followed him outside, asking a million questions about everything he saw. Rose played on a blanket in the kitchen, where Lucy could watch her. As Tom walked to the barn, he thought about the letter in his pocket. 3 weeks ago, he had placed an advertisement in a Chicago newspaper. It was a desperate decision, but he was running out of options. His nearest neighbor lived 20 miles away. The town was even further. He couldn't leave the children alone to go find help, and he couldn't manage everything by himself. Yesterday, a letter had arrived from a woman named Anna. She wrote about being left at the altar and needing a fresh start. She promised to work hard and care for his children. Her handwriting was neat and careful, which told Tom she had some education. She seemed honest about her situation, which he respected. Tom had written back immediately, sending money for a train ticket. Part of him wondered if he was making a mistake. What if this woman couldn't handle ranch life? What if she was mean to his children? What if she decided to leave after a few weeks? But another part of him felt hopeful for the first time since Mary died. The children needed a woman's care. The house needed someone to manage it properly. Tom needed help carrying the load that was too heavy for one person. He spent the morning fixing the fence, thinking about Anna's arrival. She would be on the train in 2 days. What would she think of their simple ranch house? Would she be disappointed when she saw how much work needed to be done? At lunchtime, Lucy had made sandwiches for everyone. The bread was a little burnt because the oven was hard to control, but Tom ate it gratefully. He noticed that Lucy looked tired. She had been trying so hard to fill her mother's role, but it wasn't fair to expect that from a child. "Lucy, after Anna arrives, you won't have to do so much cooking and cleaning," Tom told his daughter. "You can spend more time on your schoolwork and playing with your friends." Lucy nodded, but Tom could see worry in her eyes. "Will she like us?" Lucy asked quietly. I think she will, Tom replied, hoping it was true, and I think you'll like her too. That afternoon, while the children napped, Tom cleaned the house as best he could. He washed the windows and swept the floors. He put fresh sheets on the bed in the small room that would be Anna's until they got married and figured out their living arrangements. As evening came, Tom looked around at his ranch and his family. The work was hard and never-ending, but this was his home. These were his children. If Anna could accept their simple life and help him create a stable home for Lucy, Ben, and Rose, then maybe they could build something good together. He wasn't looking for romance. His heart still belonged to Mary and probably always would. But he was looking for partnership, respect, and someone who would love his children as much as he did. Maybe that would be enough to make their arrangement work. The sun set over the mountains as Tom finished the evening chores. Soon Anna would be here and everything would change. He just hoped it would change for the better. The train whistle echoed across the valley as Anna pressed her face to the window. After 3 days of traveling, she could finally see the small town of Cedar Ridge in the distance. Her stomach was full of butterflies and her hands wouldn't stop shaking. In a few minutes, she would meet the man who might become her husband and the children who might become her family. The train slowed down and pulled into the tiny station. Anna gathered her bag and walked to the door on unsteady legs. Through the window, she could see a tall man standing next to a wagon with 3 children beside him. That had to be Tom Wilson and his family. Anna stepped off the train and looked around nervously. The man walked toward her, and she could see he was exactly what she had imagined a rancher would look like. He was strong and weathered from working outside, with kind eyes and brown hair that needed a haircut. He wore simple work clothes and boots that had seen many years of use. "Are you Anna?" he asked in a deep, gentle voice. "Yes, I am," Anna replied, trying to sound more confident than she felt. "You must be Tom." Tom nodded and smiled slightly. "Welcome to Cedar Ridge. These are my children." He turned toward the wagon where 3 small faces were staring at Anna with curiosity and suspicion. The oldest child was a girl with serious brown eyes and hair braided down her back. She stood very straight and held the hand of a smaller boy who was trying to hide behind her. In the wagon sat a baby girl with curly hair and green eyes, sucking on her thumb. "This is Lucy, Ben, and little Rose," Tom explained. "Children, this is Anna. She's come to help us." Lucy stepped forward and gave a small curtsy. "Hello, Miss Anna," she said politely, but Anna could hear the coldness in her voice. Ben stayed hidden behind his sister, peeking out at Anna with one eye. Baby Rose just stared without saying anything. "Hello, Lucy." "Hello, Ben," Anna said softly. She knelt down to be at their eye level. "And hello, sweet Rose, I'm very happy to meet all of you." Tom loaded Anna's bag into the wagon and helped her climb up to the seat beside him. The children sat in the back, whispering to each other in voices too quiet for Anna to hear. As they drove through the town, Anna looked around at the small shops and houses. Everything was much simpler than the big city she had come from. The buildings were made of wood instead of brick. The streets were dirt instead of paved stone, but it looked peaceful and clean, with mountains rising up all around like giant guardians. "The ranch is about 5 miles outside of town," Tom explained as they left the buildings behind. "It's not fancy, but it's home." Anna nodded, trying to think of something to say. The silence felt heavy and awkward. Finally, she turned toward the children in the back of the wagon. "Lucy, your father tells me you help take care of Ben and Rose. That's very responsible of you." Lucy's chin went up proudly. "I can cook and clean and change diapers. I've been taking care of everyone since Mama died." Anna heard the challenge in the girl's voice. Lucy was telling her that she didn't need Anna's help, and that she was perfectly capable of managing the household. Anna understood. Lucy was protecting her family and her position as the little mother. "I'm sure you've done a wonderful job," Anna replied gently. "Your father is lucky to have such a helpful daughter." Ben finally spoke up from behind Lucy. "Are you going to make us do more chores?" he asked suspiciously. Anna laughed softly. "I don't know yet. What chores do you do now?" "I feed the chickens and collect the eggs," Ben said, warming up a little. "And I help Papa with the horses sometimes." "Those sound like important jobs," Anna said seriously. "The animals need someone reliable to take care of them." Ben sat up straighter, pleased by her words. Even Lucy seemed to soften slightly. The wagon turned down a dirt road that led through fields of grass where cattle were grazing. Anna could see a house in the distance with a red barn beside it and several smaller buildings scattered around the property. There it is, Tom said quietly, the Wilson Ranch. As they got closer, Anna could see that the house was bigger than she had expected. It was made of wood and painted white with a wide front porch and several windows. The barn looked sturdy and well-built. Chickens pecked around in the yard, and she could see a vegetable garden behind the house. Tom helped Anna down from the wagon and carried her bag to the front porch. The children followed silently, watching everything Anna did. "Would you like to see your room first, or would you prefer to look around the house?" Tom asked. "I'd love to see the whole house, if that's all right," Anna replied. Tom opened the front door and led Anna inside. The main room was comfortable but clearly needed a woman's touch. The furniture was practical but worn. Dishes were stacked on the kitchen table and dust covered most surfaces. It wasn't dirty, just neglected in the way that happens when busy people don't have time for cleaning. "Lucy does her best," Tom said quietly, as if reading Anna's thoughts. "But it's a lot for a 9-year-old. "Of course it is," Anna agreed. "No child should have to carry that responsibility." Lucy frowned at this comment, but Anna continued gently. "I can see you've worked very hard, Lucy, but now you can focus on being a little girl instead of worrying about all the household tasks." Tom showed Anna the small bedroom that would be hers. It was clean and simple, with a bed, a dresser, and a window that looked out over the pasture. Anna set her bag down and looked around her new space. "Tomorrow we can go into town and make the arrangements," Tom said. "The preacher can marry us whenever you're ready." Anna's heart jumped. She had known this was coming, but hearing the actual words made it feel more real. "How long do you think we should wait?" she asked. "That's up to you," Tom replied. "I want you to feel comfortable with everything." Anna looked out the window at the children playing in the yard. Lucy was pushing Rose on a swing that hung from a big tree. Ben was chasing chickens and laughing when they ran away from him. "They seem like wonderful children," Anna said honestly. "They are," Tom agreed. "But they need stability. They need someone who won't leave them." Anna heard the worry in his voice. "I won't leave, Tom, I promise you that. This is my home now, and they are my family now." Tom studied her face for a moment, then nodded. "I believe you mean that." "I do," Anna said firmly. "When do you think we should have the wedding?" "Next week, if you're comfortable with that," Tom replied. "It will give you time to settle in and get to know the children better." Anna agreed, and Tom left her alone to unpack her few belongings. As she hung her dresses in the small closet, Anna could hear the sounds of family life around her. Tom's voice calling the children for dinner. Lucy's careful footsteps in the kitchen. Ben's excited chatter about something he had seen outside. This was so different from the life she had planned with David. There was no romance here, no passionate declarations of love. But there was something else: honesty, respect, and the chance to build something real and lasting. Anna finished unpacking and went to the kitchen to help with dinner. Lucy was stirring a pot of soup while Tom tried to feed baby Rose, who was more interested in throwing her food than eating it. "Can I help?" Anna asked. Lucy looked at her suspiciously, then handed over the spoon. "Don't let it burn," she warned. Anna smiled and took over the cooking. For the first time since leaving Chicago, she felt like she was exactly where she needed to be. Anna's first week on the ranch was harder than anything she had ever experienced. She woke up before dawn to help with breakfast, but the wood stove was different from the gas stove she had used in the city. The biscuits burned on the bottom and stayed raw on top. Lucy watched with disapproval as Anna scraped the black parts into the trash. "Mama's biscuits were never burnt," Lucy said quietly, but loud enough for Anna to hear. Anna felt her cheeks grow hot with embarrassment. "I'm still learning this stove," she said gently. "Maybe you could show me how your mama made them." Lucy shrugged and turned away. "I don't remember exactly." But Anna could see that Lucy remembered perfectly. The little girl just didn't want to share her mother's secrets with the stranger who was trying to take her place. Ben was different from Lucy, but just as challenging. He tested Anna's patience every day by doing things he knew were wrong. He tracked mud through the clean kitchen. He let the chickens into the vegetable garden. He hid when it was time for his reading lessons. "I don't have to listen to you," Ben declared one afternoon when Anna asked him to help carry water from the well. "You're not my real mama." The words stung more than Anna expected. "You're right," she said calmly. "I'm not your mama. but I am here to help take care of you, and that means you still need to do your chores." Ben ran off to find his father, leaving Anna alone with the heavy water buckets. Baby Rose was the biggest challenge of all. The 2-year-old cried whenever Anna tried to hold her. During meals, Rose would only eat if Lucy or Tom fed her. At bedtime, she screamed until Tom came to rock her to sleep. Anna felt completely rejected by this tiny person who needed her help the most. Tom worked from sunrise to sunset, managing the cattle and fixing the endless problems that came with ranch life. He was polite to Anna but distant, treating her more like a hired worker than a future wife. They barely spoke except about practical matters like meals and schedules. Anna often found herself alone in the big house, wondering if she had made a terrible mistake. The work was overwhelming. The children didn't want her. Tom seemed to regret his decision to send for her. Maybe she should have stayed in Chicago and tried to rebuild her life there. One evening, after a particularly difficult day, Anna sat on the front porch and watched the sunset paint the sky in shades of pink and gold. The beauty of the mountains made her heart ache with loneliness. She had never felt so far from everything familiar. Tom came up the porch steps carrying baby Rose, who had finally stopped crying for the day. He sat down beside Anna without saying anything. They watched the sky together in comfortable silence. "Are you sorry you came here?" Tom asked eventually. Anna considered lying but decided on honesty instead. "Sometimes," she admitted. "It's harder than I expected. Everything is different from my old life." Tom nodded. "The children are having a hard time too. They're not trying to be difficult on purpose." "I know," Anna said softly. "They're protecting themselves. And they're protecting their mother's memory." Tom looked at her with surprise. "You understand that?" "Of course I do," Anna replied. "They loved her, and they're afraid I'm trying to replace her. But I'm not trying to replace anyone. I just want to find my place in your family." Tom was quiet for a long moment. "Mary was a wonderful mother and wife," he said finally. "I don't expect you to be like her. I just hope you can be happy here in your own way." Anna felt tears prick her eyes. It was the kindest thing Tom had said to her since she arrived. "I want to be happy here. I want to belong here." The next morning, Anna tried a new approach with the children. Instead of trying to take over all the household tasks, she worked alongside Lucy in the kitchen. "Would you teach me how to make cornbread the way your family likes it?" Anna asked. Lucy looked surprised but pleased. "Mama always added a little honey to make it sweet." "That sounds delicious," Anna said. "Will you show me how much honey to use?" As they cooked together, Lucy began to relax. She shared little stories about her mother and the special ways she did things around the house. Anna listened carefully, asking questions that showed she was genuinely interested in learning about the family's traditions. With Ben, Anna discovered that he responded better to choices than orders. Instead of telling him to do his chores, she gave him options. "Ben, would you rather feed the chickens first or collect the eggs first?" she would ask. Having some control over his day made Ben more cooperative. He still tested boundaries, but he stopped running away every time Anna asked him to do something. Baby Rose remained suspicious, but Anna was patient. She played peekaboo from across the room instead of trying to pick Rose up. She sang soft songs while Rose played with her toys. Gradually, the little girl stopped crying when Anna was nearby. One rainy afternoon, Anna found Lucy struggling with her schoolwork at the kitchen table. The little girl was trying to read from an old book, but many of the words were too difficult for her. "This is stupid," Lucy said in frustration, pushing the book away. "Reading can be frustrating," Anna agreed, sitting down beside her. "What book are you working on?" Lucy showed her the reader that contained simple stories and poems. Anna noticed it was designed for younger children, but Lucy was trying her best with the advanced vocabulary. "Would you like me to read some of it out loud?" Anna offered. "Sometimes it's easier to understand when you hear the words." Lucy nodded reluctantly. Anna began reading a poem about autumn leaves, using different voices for the characters. Lucy giggled when Anna made a funny voice for the grumpy old tree. "Can you teach me to read like that?" Lucy asked. "I'd love to," Anna replied. We could read together every day after dinner. From that day forward, reading time became something Lucy looked forward to. They read stories and poems, and Anna helped Lucy sound out the difficult words. Ben often joined them, listening to the stories even though he pretended not to be interested. One evening, as Anna was putting Rose to bed, The little girl finally let Anna hold her without crying. Rose snuggled against Anna's shoulder and fell asleep to the sound of a gentle lullaby. Anna felt her heart swell with joy at this small victory. Tom noticed the changes in his children. Lucy seemed happier and less burdened. Ben was better behaved and more helpful with chores. Rose was sleeping better and crying less during the day. "You're good with them," Tom told Anna one evening as they watched the children play in the yard. "They're good children," Anna replied. "They just needed time to trust me." "And what about you?" Tom asked. "Are you starting to feel at home here?" Anna looked around at the ranch that was becoming familiar. She could see the vegetable garden she had helped Lucy weed. She could hear the chickens that Ben fed every morning. She could smell the bread she had finally learned to bake without burning. "Yes," she said honestly. "I think I am." Tom smiled, and Anna realized it was the first real smile he had given her since she arrived. Maybe they were all learning to be a family together, one small step at a time. The wedding was still planned for the following week, but Anna no longer felt like she was marrying a complete stranger. She was joining a family that was slowly becoming her own. The wedding ceremony took place on a crisp October morning in the small church in Cedar Ridge. Anna wore her best blue dress, and Tom had borrowed a clean shirt from his neighbor. Lucy, Ben, and Rose sat in the front pew, watching quietly as their father and Anna promised to care for each other and work together as a family. The preacher's words were simple and practical, just like everything else about their arrangement. When Tom and Anna exchanged rings, plain gold bands they had bought at the general store, it felt more like signing a business contract than a romantic ceremony. But Anna didn't mind. She was grateful for the security and the chance to build something real with this honest man and his children. After the wedding, they returned to the ranch as husband and wife. Tom moved his belongings to Anna's room, and they began sharing the space awkwardly but respectfully. They were strangers learning to live together, trying to create a comfortable partnership without the foundation of romantic love. November brought the first snowfall, and Anna discovered that winter on a ranch was unlike anything she had ever experienced. The wind howled across the open fields, rattling the windows and finding every small crack in the walls. Tom worked even longer hours, making sure the animals had shelter and food before the weather got worse. Anna threw herself into preparing the household for the long winter months. She learned to preserve vegetables and meat. She sewed warm clothes for the children and mended everything that was torn or worn. Lucy helped eagerly, happy to share the household responsibilities with someone who appreciated her skills. Ben struggled more with being confined indoors during the worst weather. He was a boy who needed to run and explore, but the snow was often too deep and the wind too fierce for him to play outside. Anna tried to keep him busy with indoor projects, but his energy and restlessness sometimes overwhelmed everyone. December arrived with the worst blizzard anyone could remember. Snow piled up against the windows and the wind screamed around the house for 3 days straight. Tom could barely make it from the house to the barn to take care of the animals. The family was trapped together with no way to leave and no outside contact. On the second day of the storm, the stove in the kitchen began smoking badly. Tom discovered that snow and ice had blocked the chimney, making it dangerous to keep the fire burning. They had to move everyone into the main room and rely on the fireplace for heat and cooking. Anna had never been so cold in her life. The children huddled together under quilts, and even baby Rose seemed to understand that this was no ordinary storm. Tom brought blankets from every room in the house, and they made a nest of bedding around the fireplace. "Tell us a story." "Anna," Lucy requested on the second night, as they all lay together in their makeshift camp. Anna searched her memory for stories that would distract the children from the howling wind outside. She told them about the fairy tales she remembered from her childhood, changing the details to make them more exciting. Tom listened too, and Anna noticed that he seemed more relaxed when he wasn't working. On the third morning, Ben grew restless and wanted to go outside despite the dangerous weather. When Anna told him it wasn't safe, he became angry and defiant. "I hate being stuck in here," Ben shouted. "I hate this stupid snow. I hate everything." Before anyone could stop him, Ben ran out of the room and out the front door into the blizzard. Anna and Tom both jumped up immediately, grabbing coats and boots to chase after him. Outside, the snow was blinding and the wind was so strong it knocked Anna sideways. She could barely see Tom just a few feet away from her. They called Ben's name, but their voices disappeared in the storm. He went toward the pond. Tom yelled over the wind, Anna's heart filled with terror. The pond behind the house was frozen, but with a 7-year-old boy running blindly through the storm, anything could happen. They struggled through the deep snow, calling Ben's name and praying they would find him quickly. Near the edge of the pond, they heard a crack followed by Ben's terrified scream. Anna saw him first. He had fallen through the thin ice near the shore and was struggling in the freezing water, unable to pull himself out. Without thinking, Anna ran toward the pond. Tom shouted for her to stop, but she was already sliding across the ice toward Ben. She heard the ice cracking under her weight, but she kept moving until she could reach Ben's hands. "Grab onto me," Anna yelled, lying flat on the ice to distribute her weight. "Don't let go!" Ben was crying and shaking, but he held tight to Anna's arms as she pulled him toward the stronger ice near the shore. Tom reached them just as Anna felt the ice giving way beneath her. He grabbed both Anna and Ben, hauling them to safety just as the ice collapsed completely. All three of them were soaking wet and shaking from the cold. Tom picked up Ben and ran toward the house, with Anna struggling to keep up behind them. Lucy had hot water ready and clean clothes laid out by the fire. Anna helped strip Ben out of his wet clothes while Tom built up the fire as high as it would go. Ben was blue with cold and couldn't stop shivering, but he was alive and safe. Anna wrapped him in warm blankets and held him close to her body, sharing her heat with him. "I'm sorry," Ben whispered against Anna's shoulder. "I'm sorry I ran away." "Shh, it's all right," Anna murmured, rocking him gently. "You're safe now. That's all that matters." Tom looked at Anna with something new in his eyes, respect and gratitude, and something deeper that she couldn't quite identify. "You saved his life," Tom said quietly. "You risked your own life to save him." Anna looked down at Ben, who was finally warming up in her arms. "He's my son now," she said simply. "Of course I would risk everything for him." Lucy had tears in her eyes as she helped Anna get into dry clothes. "You really do care about us," Lucy said in wonder. "Yes, I do," Anna replied honestly. "I love all of you. You're my family." From that day forward, something changed in the Wilson household. Ben stopped testing Anna's authority and began coming to her when he needed comfort or help. Lucy started calling Anna Mama Anna instead of just Anna. Even baby Rose began reaching for Anna when she wanted to be held. Tom was different too. He talked to Anna more, sharing his thoughts about the ranch and asking for her opinions. He thanked her for her hard work and complimented her cooking. Most importantly, he began to treat her like a true partner instead of just a helpful addition to his household. One evening, as they sat together by the fire after the children were asleep, Tom reached over and took Anna's hand. "I want you to know how grateful I am," Tom said softly, "for everything you've done, for caring about the children, for saving Ben, for making this house feel like a home again." Anna felt warmth spread through her chest at his words. "This is my home now," she replied. "These are my children now. I couldn't love them more if I'd given birth to them myself." Tom squeezed her hand gently. "Mary would have liked you," he said. "She would have been grateful that you're taking such good care of her babies." Anna smiled, feeling truly accepted for the first time since arriving at the ranch. The blizzard had trapped them all together, but it had also forced them to depend on each other and to see what really mattered. They had become a real family during those 3 days, bound together by love and sacrifice and shared survival. When spring finally came, Anna realized that she no longer thought about her old life in Chicago. This ranch, this family, this partnership with Tom, this was her life now. And for the first time since David had abandoned her at the altar, Anna was truly happy. Spring brought new life to the ranch and new happiness to the Wilson family. Anna had been married to Tom for 6 months, and she finally felt like she truly belonged. The children called her Mama Anna with genuine love. Tom treated her as his equal partner in all decisions. Baby Rose took her first steps running toward Anna's outstretched arms. Anna was also carrying a secret joy. She was expecting a baby. She hadn't told Tom yet, wanting to be completely sure before sharing the news. The thought of giving Tom a child filled her with excitement and hope for their future together. On a beautiful May morning, Anna was hanging laundry on the line behind the house when she saw a rider approaching on the road. Visitors were rare at the ranch, and Anna shaded her eyes to get a better look at the stranger. As the man got closer, Anna's heart stopped beating. She recognized that face even though it had been almost a year since she had seen it. David had found her. Anna's hands shook as she quickly gathered the laundry and hurried into the house. She locked the door and pulled the curtains closed, praying that David would just ride past without stopping. But she could hear the horse stopping in their yard and Boots walking up to the front porch. The knock on the door made Anna jump. "Anna, I know you're in there," David's voice called out. "We need to talk." Tom was working in the far pasture with Ben, and Lucy had taken Rose to visit their neighbor. Anna was alone in the house with the man who had destroyed her life once before. "Go away, David," Anna called through the door. "I have nothing to say to you." "Oh, but I have plenty to say to you," David replied, his voice turning cold and threatening. "You stole money from me when you left Chicago. You owe me, and I'm here to collect." Anna's mind raced. She had never stolen anything from David. If anyone was a thief, it was him. He had taken all their shared savings when he abandoned her. "I don't owe you anything," Anna said, trying to keep her voice steady. "You took our money and disappeared. You left me with nothing." David laughed, but there was no warmth in the sound. "That's not how I remember it. And that's not what the authorities in Chicago think either. I've filed charges against you for theft and fraud. You can come back with me willingly, or I can have the local sheriff arrest you." Anna felt sick to her stomach. She knew David was lying, but she also knew he was clever and convincing. He had probably created fake evidence to support his claims. In Chicago, where people knew David and didn't know Anna, they might believe his version of events. "What do you want?" Anna asked, still not opening the door. "I want my money back, and I want you to come home where you belong," David replied. "You never should have run off and married some cowboy. We were meant to be together, Anna." "We were never meant to be together," Anna said firmly. "You proved that when you left me at the altar." "I made a mistake," David said, his voice becoming softer and more persuasive. "I got scared about getting married, but I've regretted it every day since then. I came all this way to find you and make things right." Anna didn't believe him for a second. David had never loved her. She could see that clearly now. He only wanted her back because she had found happiness without him, and his pride couldn't handle that. The sound of horses approaching made Anna look out the window. Tom and Ben were returning from the pasture earlier than expected. Anna felt relief wash over her, but also fear about what would happen when Tom met David. Tom dismounted and walked toward the porch, his face serious and alert. He had clearly noticed the strange horse in their yard and was prepared for trouble. "Can I help you?" Tom asked David politely but firmly. David turned away from the door to face Tom. "I'm here for my wife," David said confidently. "Your wife?" Tom's voice was dangerously quiet. "Anna. She's my fiancée, actually. We were supposed to be married last year, but she ran away before the wedding. I've been looking for her ever since." Anna opened the door and stepped onto the porch, standing close to Tom's side. "This is David," Anna told Tom. "The man who abandoned me at the altar and stole my money." David smiled charmingly. "Anna, darling, you know that's not what happened. You got cold feet and ran away. I forgave you for that, and now I'm here to take you home." Ben had been listening to the conversation with wide eyes. "Anna is our mama now," Ben said loudly. "She can't go anywhere." "I'm not going anywhere," Anna assured Ben, putting her arm around his shoulders. "This is my home. This is my family." David's smile disappeared. "Actually, Anna, you don't have a choice. Like I told you, I've filed criminal charges against you in Chicago. The authorities there are very interested in talking to you." Tom stepped closer to David, his jaw tight with anger. "You need to leave now." "I don't think so," David replied calmly. "Anna is coming with me one way or another. If she doesn't come willingly, I'll have to involve the local law enforcement." Before Tom could respond, another rider appeared on the road. This one was Lucy, returning from her visit with baby Rose. But behind Lucy was an older woman dressed in expensive black clothing and riding in a fancy buggy. Anna's heart sank as she recognized the woman. It was Helen, Tom's former mother-in-law. Mary's mother had never liked Anna and had always believed that the children would be better off living with her in the city. Helen climbed down from her buggy with the help of her driver and walked toward the house with a determined expression on her face. "Tom Wilson," Helen said in a cold voice. "I've come for my grandchildren." Tom's face went pale. "What are you talking about, Helen?" "I'm talking about the fact that these children are being raised by a woman of questionable character," Helen replied. looking at Anna with disgust. A woman who apparently has criminal charges pending against her. Anna realized with horror that David and Helen had planned this together. They had both arrived at the same time, both with legal threats, both trying to destroy the family Anna had worked so hard to build. "I've spoken with a lawyer," Helen continued. "These children should be with family who can provide them with proper education and moral guidance, not with a woman who is clearly a criminal and a runaway." Lucy jumped down from her horse and ran to Anna's side, with baby Rose in her arms. "Grandma Helen, Anna is our mama now. We don't want to go with you." "Children don't know what's best for them," Helen replied firmly. "That's why adults have to make difficult decisions." Tom looked back and forth between David and Helen, realizing that they were attacking his family from two directions at once. His hands clenched into fists, but Anna could see that he was trying to stay calm for the children's sake. "Both of you need to leave my property," Tom said in a voice that was quiet but full of steel. "My wife has done nothing wrong and my children are not going anywhere." "Your wife?" David laughed. "This marriage isn't even legal if Anna was already engaged to me." "That's ridiculous," Anna said. "You abandoned me. Our engagement ended the day you didn't show up at the church. I have witnesses who will say otherwise." David replied smugly. "And I have evidence of the money you stole from me." Helen nodded approvingly. "Tom, surely you can see that this woman has brought nothing but trouble to your family? My grandchildren deserve better than this." Anna felt trapped between two enemies who seemed to have all the legal advantages, but as she looked at Tom's determined face and the children gathered around her, she realized that she wasn't the same frightened woman who had fled Chicago a year ago. She had found her strength in this family, and she would fight to protect them with everything she had. "I'm not going anywhere," Anna said clearly, "and neither are these children. This is our home and we're going to defend it." David and Helen exchanged glances, clearly expecting Anna to be more easily intimidated. "We'll see about that," David said with a cold smile. "I'll be back with the sheriff." As David and Helen left the ranch, Anna held her family close and tried to figure out how to protect everything they had built together. The fight for their happiness was just beginning. After David and Helen left, the Wilson family gathered in their kitchen to figure out what to do. Anna sat at the table with baby Rose in her lap, while Lucy and Ben pressed close to her sides. Tom paced back and forth, his anger and worry clear on his face. "They can't really take us away, can they?" Lucy asked in a small voice. Anna hugged Lucy tighter. "I won't let that happen," she promised. "We're a family, and families stick together." Tom stopped pacing and looked at Anna. "We need to go to town and talk to the sheriff. We need to know exactly what kind of legal trouble we're facing." Anna nodded, even though the idea of talking to the law made her nervous. "And we should talk to the preacher too. He married us. He can confirm that our marriage is legal and real." They packed up the children and drove to Cedar Ridge as quickly as they could. The sheriff, a kind man named John Murphy, listened carefully as Tom and Anna explained the situation. "This David fellow claims you stole money from him?" Sheriff Murphy asked Anna. "He's lying," Anna said firmly. "David took all our shared savings when he left me at the altar. I never took a penny from him." "Do you have any proof of that?" the sheriff asked. Anna's heart sank. The bank records would show that he withdrew the money, but that's all back in Chicago. Sheriff Murphy nodded thoughtfully. "And Mrs. Helen claims the children should live with her instead of you?" "The children are my responsibility," Tom said angrily. "Helen has no legal right to them." "Actually," Sheriff Murphy said carefully, "grandparents sometimes do have rights, especially if they can prove that the children's current situation is harmful to them." Anna felt sick to her stomach. Everything seemed to be working against them. "But," Sheriff Murphy continued, "I know you folks. Tom, you're a good man and a good father. Anna, I've seen how you care for these children. They're happy and healthy and well-loved. That counts for a lot in any court." After leaving the sheriff's office, they went to see Reverend Johnson, the preacher who had married them. He assured them that their marriage was completely legal and binding. "No prior engagement has any bearing on your current marriage," Reverend Johnson explained. "Anna was free to marry when she wed Tom, and that marriage is valid in the eyes of God and the law." Anna felt slightly better, but she knew they weren't safe yet. David and Helen were determined to destroy their family, and they seemed to have resources and connections that the Wilsons lacked. That evening, as Anna was putting the children to bed, Lucy climbed into Anna's lap for their usual bedtime story. "Mama Anna," Lucy said quietly, "I don't want to live with Grandma Helen. I want to stay here with you and Papa and Ben and Rose." "I want to stay here too," Ben added from his bed. "This is our home. You're our real mama now." Anna's eyes filled with tears. "I want you to stay here too, more than anything in the world. And I'm going to fight as hard as I can to make sure we all stay together." Even baby Rose seemed to understand that something was wrong. She clung to Anna and cried whenever anyone else tried to hold her. The next morning, David returned with two men Anna didn't recognize. They knocked on the front door, and Tom went to answer it. "Tom Wilson?" one of the men asked. "I'm Deputy Marshal Williams from Chicago. I have a warrant for the arrest of Anna Wilson on charges of theft and fraud." Anna's legs went weak. This was her worst nightmare coming true. Tom stepped in front of Anna protectively. "She's done nothing wrong." "That's for the courts to decide," Deputy Williams replied. "Ma'am, you need to come with us." "No," Ben shouted, running to Anna's side. "You can't take our mama." Lucy grabbed Anna's other arm, holding on tightly. "She didn't steal anything. She's good and kind, and she takes care of us." Baby Rose began crying loudly, reaching for Anna as the deputy tried to explain the legal situation. But before Anna could be taken away, Sheriff Murphy arrived with several men from town. Anna recognized the banker, the store owner, and several other families they had gotten to know. "What's going on here?" Sheriff Murphy demanded. "We're executing a warrant," Deputy Williams explained. "Let me see that warrant," Sheriff Murphy said firmly. He studied the papers carefully, then looked up with a frown. "These charges are suspicious. They were filed very recently, and the evidence listed here is vague at best." David stepped forward impatiently. "The evidence is solid. Anna stole money from me, and I have bank records to prove it." "Then let's see those bank records," Sheriff Murphy challenged. David hesitated, then pulled out some papers from his coat. Sheriff Murphy examined them carefully, then handed them to the town banker. "These records have been altered," the banker said after a moment. "I can tell because the ink is different colors and some of the numbers have been written over." Anna gasped. David had created fake evidence against her. "That's fraud," Sheriff Murphy said grimly. "Creating false documents is a serious crime." Deputy Williams looked confused. "Are you saying these charges are false?" "I'm saying this man has fabricated evidence," Sheriff Murphy replied, "and I have witnesses who can testify to Anna Wilson's good character." One by one, the people from town stepped forward to defend Anna. They talked about how she had helped their families, how kind she was to their children, how hard she worked to be a good wife and mother. "Anna Wilson is one of the finest women in this community," the preacher declared. "She has shown nothing but honesty and integrity since arriving here." David's face grew red with anger as he realized his plan was falling apart. "You don't understand," he said desperately. "Anna belongs with me. We were supposed to be married." "Anna is married to me," Tom said firmly, "and she's staying with me and our children." Deputy Williams looked at the fake bank records again, then at David with suspicion. "Sir, I think you need to come with me instead. Fraud is a federal crime, and creating false evidence is very serious." As David was led away in handcuffs, Anna felt a huge weight lift from her shoulders. But they still had to deal with Helen and her threats to take the children. Helen arrived later that day with her lawyer and a stern-looking woman from the County Child Services office. But she was met by not just the Wilson family, but by half the town of Cedar Ridge. "Mrs. Helen," Reverend Johnson said politely but firmly, "these children are happy and well cared for. I see them every Sunday in church, and they are clearly thriving." "Anna Wilson has done nothing but love and protect these children," the schoolteacher added. "Lucy's grades have improved tremendously since Anna began helping her with reading." The woman from Child Services interviewed each of the children privately. Lucy spoke confidently about how much she loved Anna and how happy their family was. Ben talked about all the things Anna had taught him, and how safe he felt with her. Even baby Rose reached for Anna whenever anyone else tried to hold her. After listening to everyone's testimonies and seeing how the children responded to Anna, the child services woman made her decision. "These children are clearly loved and well cared for," she announced. "I see no reason to remove them from their current home." Helen's lawyer tried to argue, but it was clear that they had lost. The community had come together to protect the Wilson family, and their united support was stronger than any legal threats. As Helen and her lawyer left in defeat, Anna found herself surrounded by friends and neighbors who had become like family to her. "Thank you," Anna said through her tears. "Thank you all for standing up for us." "You're one of us now," the store owner replied with a smile. "We take care of our own." Tom put his arm around Anna as they watched their community celebrate their victory. "I'm proud of you," Tom said quietly. "You stood up to them with such courage." "I had to," Anna replied. "This family is worth fighting for." That night, as Anna tucked the children into bed, she felt a peace she had never experienced before. They had faced the worst possible threats and had emerged stronger than ever. "Mama Anna," Lucy said sleepily, "I'm glad you came to live with us." "I'm glad I came too," Anna replied, kissing Lucy's forehead. "This is exactly where I belong." As Anna turned out the light and left the children's rooms, she placed her hand on her stomach where her own baby was growing. Soon they would have another child to love and protect. Their family was complete, and nothing would ever threaten their happiness again. 2 years had passed since David and Helen tried to tear apart the Wilson family. Anna stood in the kitchen of their ranch house, watching through the window as Tom played in the yard with their children. Lucy was now 11 years old and had grown into a confident, happy girl who loved school and helped teach the younger children their letters. Ben was 9 and had channeled his wild energy into helping his father with the ranch work. Baby Rose was now 4 years old and followed Anna everywhere, chattering constantly in her sweet little voice, and crawling around on a blanket in the grass was their newest family member, 6-month-old baby James, named after his father. Anna smiled as she watched Tom scoop up the baby and toss him gently in the air, making James giggle with delight. Anna placed her hand on her growing belly. Another baby was due in the spring, and the whole family was excited about the new addition. Tom had been overjoyed when Anna told him about both pregnancies. His face had lit up with pure happiness, and he had told her that she had given him the greatest gifts of his life. "Mama Anna, can I help with dinner?" Rose asked, tugging on Anna's skirt. "Of course, sweetheart," Anna replied, lifting Rose onto a chair so she could reach the counter. "You can help me stir the stew." As they cooked together, Anna reflected on how much her life had changed. The frightened, abandoned woman who had stepped off the train in Cedar Ridge was gone. In her place was a confident wife and mother who knew exactly where she belonged. The sound of horses approaching made Anna look out the window again. A familiar wagon was coming up the road. It was their neighbors, the Johnson family, arriving for the barn raising that was planned for that afternoon. All summer, Tom had been working on building a bigger barn to house their growing herds of cattle and horses. The old barn was too small now that their ranch was becoming more successful. Today, the whole community was coming to help raise the frame of the new building. Anna had been cooking for days to prepare food for all the families who would be helping. Lucy had made pies, Ben had churned butter, and even little Rose had helped by shelling peas. It was going to be a wonderful celebration. As more wagons arrived, Anna went outside to greet their friends and neighbors. These were the people who had stood up for her family when David and Helen tried to destroy them. These were the people who had welcomed her into their community and made her feel truly at home. "Anna," called out Mary Johnson, climbing down from her wagon with a basket of fresh bread. "How are you feeling? You look wonderful." "I feel wonderful," Anna replied honestly. "A little tired with this baby on the way, but very happy." The women gathered around Anna, sharing advice about pregnancy and childbirth and offering to help however they could. Anna felt overwhelmed by their kindness and support. These friendships had become one of the most precious parts of her new life. Meanwhile, Tom was organizing the men to begin work on the barn. Anna watched him with pride as he directed the construction project. He had become a respected leader in their community, known for his honesty, hard work, and fair dealing. As the afternoon progressed, The barn frame began to take shape. The sound of hammering and sawing filled the air, mixed with laughter and conversation. Children ran around playing games while their parents worked. The older girls helped serve food and drinks to the workers. Lucy came running up to Anna, her face flushed with excitement. "Mama Anna, Papa wants you to come see something." Anna followed Lucy to where Tom was standing with a group of men. He had a big smile on his face and was holding baby James in his arms. "Anna," Tom called out, "we're ready for the final beam. Will you do the honor?" Anna looked up at the nearly completed barn frame. The men had saved the highest beam for last, and it was traditional for the family to put it in place together. With Tom holding baby James and Anna holding Rose's hand, they climbed up on the scaffolding. Lucy and Ben flanked them on either side. Together, the Wilson family guided the last beam into position as their neighbors cheered and applauded. "This barn represents everything we've built together," Tom said loudly so everyone could hear. "Our family, our home, our place in this community. Thank you all for helping us make this dream come true." Anna felt tears of happiness rolling down her cheeks as she looked out at all the faces of the people who had become like family to them. This was what belonging felt like. This was what home meant. As the sun began to set, the families gathered for a big dinner under the stars. Long tables were set up in the yard, loaded with food that everyone had contributed. Anna sat between Tom and Lucy with baby James on her lap and Rose cuddled against her side. "Papa," Ben said during dinner, "tell everyone about the time Mama Anna saved me from the pond." Tom smiled and launched into the story of Anna's brave rescue during the blizzard. Anna blushed as her neighbors praised her courage and love for her children. "That's when I knew Anna was truly part of our family," Tom concluded. "She risked her life to save my son, and from that moment on, I knew she would always put our children first." "She's the best mama in the whole world," Rose declared loudly, making everyone laugh. Later that evening, after all the guests had gone home and the children were asleep, Anna and Tom sat together on their front porch. Tom had his arm around Anna, and she leaned against his shoulder contentedly. "Do you ever think about your old life in Chicago?" Tom asked softly. Anna considered the question. "Sometimes," she admitted, "but only to realize how grateful I am that David left me at the altar. If he hadn't, I never would have found you and the children. I never would have discovered what real love and family feel like." Tom turned to face her, his expression serious and tender. "Anna, I need you to know something. When I first sent for a mail-order bride, I thought I just needed help with the children in the house. I never expected to fall in love." Anna's heart skipped a beat. "Tom, let me finish," Tom said gently. "You came here as a practical arrangement, but you became so much more. You saved my children when they needed a mother's love. You saved me when I was drowning in loneliness and responsibility. You made our house a home again." Anna felt tears welling up in her eyes. "I love you, Anna," Tom continued. "I love you with all my heart. Not because you're helpful or convenient, but because you're kind and brave and beautiful and you make every day better just by being in it." "Oh, Tom," Anna whispered, "I love you too. I have for so long, but I was afraid to say it because I didn't know if you could ever love me the way you loved Mary." Tom cupped Anna's face in his hands. "I did love Mary, and I always will. But love doesn't have limits, Anna. My heart was big enough to love her then and to love you now. You're not Mary's replacement. You're Anna, and you're exactly who our family needed." They kissed under the starlight, sealing their love with tenderness and promise. Anna had never felt so cherished or so complete. "Look what we've built," Tom said, gesturing toward their ranch, their new barn, and their house full of sleeping children. "Look what love can create." Anna looked around at everything they had accomplished together. 2 years ago, she had been a forgotten bride with no home and no hope. Now she was surrounded by love, purpose, and belonging. "You kept your promise," Anna said softly. "You told me you would be my home, and you are. This whole life we've built together, it's the most beautiful home I could ever imagine." Tom smiled and pulled her closer. "And you kept your promise too. You became my children's mother in every way that matters. You loved them as if you had carried them yourself." As they sat together watching the stars come out over their land, Anna placed her hand on her growing belly. Their second child together was moving around as if excited about the love and warmth waiting in the world above. "What should we name this baby?" Tom asked, placing his hand over Anna's. "If it's a girl, I'd like to name her Hope," Anna replied. Because that's what you and the children gave me when I had nothing left. And if it's a boy? Tom asked. Anna smiled. How about David? Not after my former fiancé, but because it means beloved. This baby is beloved already, just like all our children. Tom laughed softly. Perfect. Hope David Wilson will be very lucky to grow up in this family. As the night grew cooler, they went inside to their warm house full of sleeping children. Anna checked on each child, tucking blankets around them and whispering quiet prayers of gratitude. In their own bedroom, Tom helped Anna get comfortable as her pregnancy made it harder for her to move easily. They had learned to be tender and caring partners, supporting each other through every challenge and celebrating every joy. Anna, Tom said as they lay in the darkness, do you remember what I told you in that first letter? I promised that if you would be my children's mother, I would be your home. I remember, Anna replied sleepily. I want to add something to that promise, Tom said. You became much more than my children's mother. You became my wife, my partner, my best friend, and the love of my life. And this isn't just your home, you are home. Wherever you are, that's where I belong. Anna fell asleep that night, surrounded by the love she had always dreamed of but never thought she would find. She had come to Montana as a forgotten bride seeking survival. But she had discovered something infinitely more precious. A family built on love, respect, and commitment. Their story had begun with practical necessity, but it had grown into something beautiful